Am I the antagonist for telling my parents that I blame them instead of my brother? I, 15 male, turned 15 last Thursday and had my party that Friday. Everything was going good until my nephew, 5 male, came. I didn't even want him to come because he's not well behaved at all, but they told me that they didn't want him to feel excluded by everyone else being invited, and they'll just have my brother watch him better. I told my dad that I didn't want him coming because I didn't want him throwing a fit all night, but they told that he wouldn't be and that I shouldn't be dramatic. They told me that they didn't want their grandchild to be upset because he wouldn't be there, and if something does go wrong, they'll take responsibility for it. My nephew threw my birthday cake on the floor, so something did go wrong. He was upset that he didn't get to blow out the candles and started screaming and crying when my brother held him back. After he calmed down, he literally dug his hands in the cake and slid it to the floor. I was disappointed, not surprised. My brother and parents were apologetic, and my brother compensated our parents for my cake and apologized to me. It's been 3 days and I'm basically over it now, but my brother called me after school and told me that he wanted to take me out for an apology birthday dinner, but I told him that I was fine and that our parents were already planning on getting me another cake, so it wasn't really a big deal. He asked me if I was sure and I told him that I was, and thanked him for giving them the money. I told him I was already planning on going out with my friends and we could do it another time. After that we kinda talked some more before he hung up. When my parents got home, they told me that my brother told them that morning that he was gonna invite me out, and they asked me if I accepted it. When I told them I didn't, they got mad at me for refusing and said that I probably made him feel worse than he already does. He didn't sound hurt to me. I told them that he already gave them money to pay for the cake, and I'm grateful for that. I told them that I don't blame him at all, and I blame them instead. I said that if they felt bad, it could have been avoided if they didn't invite my nephew in the first place, and that they said that they were gonna take responsibility, but instead they are making my brother pay for the cake they said they were responsible for. They got mad when I said this and said that they didn't mean to ruin my birthday and that they didn't want my nephew and brother to feel left out. My parents have been acting pretty cold to me since, but I'm not too worried. Whenever we have a disagreement, they usually ignore me until the next day and they magically forget everything that happened. I'm just confused if I was wrong or not. Not the antagonist. Your parents should have kindly asked your brother to get a sitter, or maybe had a small get-together on a different day to include your nephew. By the way, your parents also need to grow up. Your brother needs to realize that his son cannot behave like that forever, and that it will have drastic effects when he grows up. I hope you get another birthday cake and happy 16th birthday. Would I be the antagonist if I say my stepsister cannot be my bridesmaid again after she begged me to reconsider? I, 27 years old, asked my sister, 26 years old, to be my only bridesmaid maid of honor. We're so close that she's the only person I want to have as a bridesmaid. But we have a stepsister, Leah, 24 years old, and Leah wants to be a bridesmaid too. My mom married Leah's dad when I was 10 and Leah was 7. My parents were divorced, and Leah's parents were not together either, but she didn't have any contact with her mom while my sister and I primarily lived with our dad. When we were at mom's, neither my sister or I were close to Leah. I found Leah really annoying and she never grew on me. I know she was younger, and being an only child with no mom in her life, she might have wanted a bigger family, and she probably looked up to my sister and me. But I found her very clingy and whiny, and my mom and Leah's dad did not help because she could whine and we had to include her, or if she annoyed them, generally she would be dumped on us, and we were told we needed to spend time together. Leah used to say she had 2 sisters, but we never called her our sister. Leah used to want to come to Dad's house with us, but we always said no. We never asked Dad to invite Leah to our house, and he threw most of our birthday parties, and we didn't invite Leah to them. I really didn't see or speak to Leah more than twice a year by the time I was 17 because I chose to live with my dad and cut way back on time with my mom. I was always civil to Leah when I did see her, and I wouldn't ignore her if we were in the same place. But do I call or make plans with her? Nope. My relationship with my mom did get a little closer in the last couple of years, so we talk more and see each other more. I think this is what led to such a big fallout and pressure for the bridesmaid thing. I got engaged several months ago. I called and told my mom. I have seen her since getting engaged as well. I went to my mom's house last week for coffee and Leah came in with her dad. She told me she heard I got engaged and she asked if she could be a bridesmaid, and I said no. She went into pleading mode and told me she knows I don't really want her there, but she would still love to be a bridesmaid, and how she always wanted to be part of mine and my sister's lives in a bigger way, and she always wanted to be a sister to us. She said that might not happen, but it would make her whole year if she could be my bridesmaid. She emphasized again how much this mattered to her. I was going to say my answer had not changed, but she told me to really think about it and give it some time, and then my mom interrupted before I got the chance to say I was not changing my mind, and she told me it would be kind for me to include Leah because Leah has always made an effort to have a relationship. Which is true, though she went about it in the wrong way most of the time. Leah's dad then decided to add that my sister and I were unfair to Leah for 17 years, and the least I could do is let her in, now that I'm old enough to get married. Would I be the asshole if I say no again? Not the antagonist. Your wedding, your choice. Leah may have wanted to be closer to you and your sister, but it is ultimately up to you who is in your bridal group. Your mom and Leah's dad overstepped by trying to guilt-trip you into including her. It is understandable to want your bridal group to consist of people you know well and are close to. However, it may be worth considering reaching out to Leah to see if she has changed and rebuild your relationship before making a final decision. Am I the antagonist for not watching my neighbor's kids? My neighbor asked this morning for people to watch her children, 7 and 9 years old, this week. It is spring break, so they are out of school. She had a sitter lined up, but things fell through at the last second, and she cannot take time off work all week at the last second without being fired. A number of our neighbors agreed to watch them for certain periods of time, ranging from a few hours to a couple of full days, so it seems like she's mostly covered but just has Friday afternoon left to go. My immediate next-door neighbor, Aita Ray, who is watching the children today, chimed in that Polka Dot Penguin Son 1945 works from home on Fridays. You should ask her to watch them. She tagged me in the comment, and then the mom replied by tagging me again and saying that would be great, and she'd really appreciate it. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't watch them. It quickly turned into the Inquisition. Why not? Am I going into the office that day? If I'm going to be home, what's the problem? If my house isn't child-proofed, I can watch them at hers, so what's the problem? Reddit, firstly, I don't want to. It isn't just that I know nothing about children, which I don't, but also I am actively uncomfortable around them. More importantly, I will be in my home office actually working. I can't supervise them. I don't know how much active supervision 7 and 9-year-olds need, but my house is full of expensive things. I also have zero child-proofing, and couldn't even tell you for sure where all my chemicals and rat poison are kept. I have an enormous dog who is clumsy, excitable, and has never been around children except from a distance on walks. And I can't just watch them at our house instead, because I need to be in my home office working. It isn't the kind of job I can easily do on a laptop screen. I use a 45-inch monitor at home. I explained this all briefly in response to questions. My house is the opposite of child-proofed. I can't go to her house because my job requires the setup I have in my home office. I didn't mention that I dislike children. The neighbors are all piling on and commenting negatively, saying it's just excuses, that if they worked from home wouldn't be at Disney World, didn't have a softball game, whatever, they'd absolutely watch her children for her. I am tempted to comment what's stopping you from taking her children with you to your softball game, if it matters that much to you, but I haven't. I'm not going to watch her children either way, but I need a sanity check here. Am I really that big of a jerk for not stepping up and watching a neighbor's children for a few hours? Or have I just accidentally moved into a hive of mama bears who all have the same mass delusion? Thank you for all the responses. I explained this in several comments below, but this is happening on a neighborhood Facebook group where people do things like post about lost dogs, ask if anyone wants their old couch, ask for recommendations for plumbers, and ask each other for small favors. I have asked before if someone would let my dog out to pee when I was unexpectedly late getting off work. I've agreed to sign for someone's delivery while they were at the office. Things like that. It caught me off guard when my no wasn't accepted, and I got the sense from the questions comments that if I didn't satisfy them with my reasoning, then I'd be iced out going forward if I need someone to sign for my package. As if babysitting random children for hours is the same level of favor. I think the consensus is that nothing I said was ever going to be good enough, and they'd only ever use anything I said as an opening to keep pressing me. So I was doomed from the start to get acquainted with the clerk at the nearest up store. Rest assured that I haven't responded to them since posting here. Not the antagonist. In this situation, it is important to set boundaries and prioritize your work responsibilities. Your job is just as important, regardless of where you are working from. There is no need to justify or explain yourself when it comes to not being able to babysit. Your neighbor's lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on your part. Your job comes first. Am I the antagonist for wanting to kick my future sister-in-law out of my wedding party? For context, I, 25 years old, and my fiancé, 25 years old, have been together for 8 years. We got engaged 4 years ago and have experienced many financial hardships, but as the tides turned for the better, we finally decided to tie the knot. My fiancé is a blue-collar worker and I work in healthcare. We aren't rich by any means but are more than comfortable at this point in our lives. Upon deciding what we wanted to do for our wedding, we came to a mutual agreement that we wanted to have no more than 100 guests invited to the reception. Me and my future sister-in-law, 27 years old, have never been particularly close. However, she was extremely excited for us to get married. I asked her to be my bridesmaid out of respect, to include as much of his side of the family in the wedding as possible. I don't believe she knew the financial responsibility it would come with when she agreed to take on the position. My future sister-in-law expressed many times how she was struggling financially. Me and my spouse offered to pay for her dress, cover her costs for the bachelorette party, even though my maid of honor is covering my portion, and even make sure she has some spare cash for the bar on the wedding night. We have been nothing but accommodating to her so she can feel included. Here's where things start to go south. When we sent guest invitations, we made sure his sister was included in the process. It was made clear that we had limited seats and wanted no more than who was on the list. We even told her if fewer people came, We would save costs that would go towards the honeymoon. This past week, my fiancé received an eyebrow-raising message from her stating that she invited 4 more people that we weren't aware of, nor did we even know existed. This was the last straw for me, and I lost my temper. My fiancé told her she had no right to start inviting random people to our wedding as they would not be accounted for. She said she figured if we can afford to accommodate 100 people, then 4 more was no big deal. We absolutely lost it on her, as this wasn't the first time she had done something that made us facepalm, but this was too far. She then said she would uninvite the people she asked to come and tell them to forget the date. Ever since that day, she has been making public Facebook posts, basically victimizing herself. She has been very cold and disinterested when it comes to helping plan the wedding, and even rolled her eyes many times at me and my fiancé when we hosted a wedding party meeting to make sure everyone is on the same page. I'm leaning heavily towards kicking her out of the wedding party as she has contributed to more stress than anything else. Not the antagonist. It's your wedding, and it's not even here yet, and already your future sister-in-law is making it all about herself. You told her you had limited the invitations to your reception to 100 people. She immediately went out and invited 4 more people, none of whom you even know. She not only committed a huge social faux pas, but now she's saying she's the one who's the victim. Confront her. Ask her if she still wants to be in the wedding party. If not, kick her out of it. And one more negative FB post and she's also gone. Uninvite her. Do you really want to deal with that immature behavior on the day of your wedding? Mom, 50, wants a discussion about my F20 behavior after I asked my family to stop triggering my allergies advice. I understand this is long. Too long didn't read. TLDR. At the end context. I have a bad fragrance allergy. I am allergic to most perfumes. I have figured out I am allergic specifically to Stamford incense and an essential oil lavender roller perfume I bought a while ago. But other than that, I don't know what it is. Normally it's trial and error to figure out what I'm allergic to, which isn't great because I don't have any antihistamines for it. When I have an allergic reaction, it gives me an extremely sore throat with bumps at the back, so bad I can't swallow or breathe without pain, and talking isn't good either. My family know about this allergy because I've had reactions in front of them. My first and worst reaction I had in front of my parents, mother and father, both 50 years old, due to my brother, 18 years old, now ex-girlfriend's perfume. I figured out it was a fragrance allergy once it cleared up slightly after a few hours away from her outside, and after I had a few reactions at college from inhaling others' perfumes. My reactions can last hours to days depending how exposed I am and how bad it is. A few days ago, my mother bought 2 new Reed air diffusers. I asked her if she would mind not putting them out until I had a chance to test them, and she said that was all right. I then told her it would take a few days because I had shifts at work and a job interview, so I couldn't test it just yet. And she said that was all right, and to just let her know when I had tested them. Last night I thought I could smell something outside my room and downstairs, but couldn't place what it was. My mom had just been in the bathroom, so I assumed it was new body wash or something. Whatever. No big deal. But my throat felt off, and so I asked in the group chat if anyone had sprayed anything, used any new diffusers or candles, etc. They all replied nope. I said that was all right. I could just smell something and my throat hurt a bit was all. A few hours after that, I went to the bathroom, and what did I see? The Reed diffuser. Opened. 1/4 used, sitting on top of the toilet. Mom had opened one and then lied to me about it. We also had 2, and I could smell something downstairs as well. I was so upset about this because not only had I been lied to, but this isn't the first time my family have triggered a reaction. My brother's, not sure if he's really the golden child, but my mom loves him, girlfriend, 18 years old, sprayed perfume a while ago, and when I asked him about it, he lied and said he didn't know what I was talking about. Only when she did it again, he admitted it and repeatedly said they didn't know, despite this being the 3rd time I told him I was allergic, and that I didn't mind her using perfume, just opened the window and unsprayed in the hallway. My family have also used different scents, and I've had to put in the group chat more than once to please take me seriously. I moved the diffuser to the office since it's the only room I don't really go into, and the door stays shut, washed my hands, and quickly got changed. I texted the group chat yet again saying, just found the new air freshener put in the bathroom, window completely shut. I'm once again asking if we can please be more sensitive to my fragrance allergy. I have an interview on the 28th and I'd rather not be struggling to breathe during it. I need the job and my lungs to pay what I'm being asked towards bills and for my own food, shampoo, laundry liquid, etc. My brother told me it was an essential oil roller, not perfume, and I told him I was allergic regardless. My parents have also been getting on me about paying bills despite me having one job that barely pays enough or gives me enough shifts, and I've been looking for a second job for months. Enduring talks from my mom about how disappointed I make her, how I don't make her happy, etc. This felt a lot like I was being sabotaged. I remembered there was a smell from one downstairs too, so I asked. I could also smell something downstairs earlier today. If it's the freshener, I'd be happy if someone bothered to move it into a separate room like the office where I don't go and open windows. The more exposed I am, the worse the reaction is. I've mentioned this before, but it feels like nobody actively listens. I desperately need this job. knowing my family absolutely wouldn't move it. I haven't left my room yet, and I'm expecting to see the air freshener back in the bathroom, ready for me to have a reaction. My mom replied this morning around 7 with, "Nam, we need to have a face-to-face discussion about this behavior. This is the first time I've stood up for myself. The last time I tried standing up for myself was when she accused me of stealing cutlery from the kitchen and hiding it in my room, because that's definitely something I'd do. And she screamed in my face more than once, causing me to break down in my room, and my boyfriend had to take care of me. I don't understand what behavior she's talking about. The fact I'm standing up for myself? That I'm sick and tired of not being taken seriously? Every discussion with my mom has always turned into confrontation or an argument. She interrupts me and I get upset, and she tells me, 'I'm not talking to you whilst you're hysterical.' I'm so used to discussions ending with me being slapped or screamed at. They're causing me horrible stress. In school, I couldn't even talk to teachers after class about my work because I was so scared they'd do the same thing as my mom, because that's all I knew. I have to go downstairs at some point to talk with her. I'm autistic, so I struggled to do face-to-face discussions. I'm going to try to take it slow and get my point across, even if I get screamed at or interrupted. Any advice to keep my cool or not panic and cry? I haven't eaten yet, and I know she's not going to let me get away from her. Too long didn't read, TLDR. Mom, 50 years old, knowingly triggered my allergies after I asked her not to. She now wants a face-to-face discussion about my behavior after I asked my family to stop doing this. I was reading this thinking, wow, this family are emotionally abusive, and then read about your mom slapping you. You're in an abusive home. You cannot reason with your abusers. If they were rational, they wouldn't be abusing you. Keep your head down, don't engage, do what it takes to survive, and work on a plan to get out. Your family are abusing you, emotionally and physically. There is no point even attempting to have a discussion with your mom because she is just setting you up to fail. She doesn't want to resolve the issue. She wants to abuse you some more. You need to get out of that house permanently as soon as you can. Wear a 95 or 95 mask in the house, run an air purifier in your room, and move out ASAP. Allergies usually get worse. If you're a student, check to see what resources your university has. They may have counseling or support services you can access for free. Talk to your teachers. They're not going to react like your mom. What your mom is doing is not normal. Reach out to somebody you trust for help. It'll be the first step to living a life free of fear and allergic reactions. Am I the antagonist for not offering my sister a place to stay? Apologies if it's a bit long. I will try and provide as much context as I can. I have just moved into a new, bigger house. I've been in and out of hospital while 35 weeks pregnant. My grandmother has passed away, and she and my sister, 36F, have always had a special bond, and Grandma clearly played favorites. I was treated like the maid my whole life until I met my now husband. My sister was staying with my grandma in an old age village. About 4 months ago, I told my sister, not to be insensitive or anything, but Grandma is starting to get really sickly. Now that you have started a new job, and you are not paying rent, try saving towards getting your own place, because Grandma is not going to live forever. Grandma is 85 years old, by the way. A few days after my grandma passed, my sister received a notice advising that she needs to vacate the premises in 14 days. My mother is a narcissist and started blowing up my mother-in-law and my husband's phones, saying she needs to speak to me urgently regarding my sister's living situation. Their phones because I blocked my mother and went no contact with her after my daughter was born. I have lived with my sister a few years ago when she and her son had no place to go, and I needed someone to look after my 5-month-old baby, so at the time, I thought it would be a win-win situation for both of us. My sister would not reprimand or correct her son when he stepped out of line. She was and still is not monogamous to one man and had several men visiting her, and led a party-based lifestyle where she knew her son would be safe as he is with me and would stay out all night, not letting us know if or when she is coming home. Not judging, as this is the example my mother set for her, but this is not what I want around me and my family. I have a daughter, and as someone who had very close encounters with several of the strange men my mother and grandma had parading in and out of the house and had to run away to safety to escape them, I'm not comfortable having that around my daughter. Also, when her son would step out of line with my husband, he would take it out on me, advising that it's my family and I need to correct the son. My husband is not my sister's biggest fan. I know he doesn't like her because of her lifestyle, but he tolerates her because she is my sister. So when my husband asked me why I was crying about this, they can come and stay with us again as we have the space, I called him out and said that he always took out pet peeves he had with them out on me. And it feels like I need to choose my marriage's happiness, or choose to rescue my sister once again from homelessness. I feel like I'm kind of being punished for being a responsible adult. My mom won't take her in because she can't handle my sister and her child. It's too much for her, so am I the asshole for not inviting my sister to stay with me again? Not the antagonist. You just laid out a slew of reasons why it would be undesirable to have your sister stay with you. Case closed. She's 36. If she can't figure out how to make living arrangements, etc., by now, that's not your problem. You got your own shit to deal with, and anyone upset at you for that you don't need in your life. Don't take him on. It's also not fair to your husband. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.